As filmmakers, one of the most desirable tools we pursue is often a set of lenses, particularly cinema lenses. Finding that balance of reasonably priced, rich character, reliable build quality, and simple quality of life features. However, with the saturated market of budget cinema lenses, it has created a range that spans both high and low budget options. So what really sets premium budget lenses apart? And can you justify purchasing them over the others? Yes, you can. Enter the NiSi Aureus primes. So quick disclaimer before getting into this video, I do have a working relationship with NiSi for the past 3 years or so. I've purchased lenses, I've gotten lenses from NiSi to use on different projects and testing, but of course they don't get to see this video before I upload. Just to say that this is a lens review, so the proof is in the pudding, so you take it as it is. If you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. So starting off, what do I consider low versus premium budget lenses? I'll have to say it starts with the price. The more affordable options would be sub $1,000 per lens. So you have your Sirui Vision and Nightwalkers, your Misc Cine lenses, full frame lenses that is, and your 7 Artisans to name a few. Versus the more higher budget, I would say, so $2,000 and going upwards. So you have your NiSi Aureus, NiSi Aureus, Cine CF lenses, Sigma Cine primes, Zeiss Nano primes, and your Cooke SP3s, just to name a few. To be clear, I know everyone's budget is different and you purchase what you can afford. I've been there. I totally get it. So when I mention set lens, it's not me knocking on that lens. There are some lenses that I own that are way cheaper than some of the premium lenses that I have, and they have just this magic goodness coming out of them that they produce. So I get it. However, if you're a lens snob like myself, there are some things that are going to be worth looking at if you're going to be investing heavily into lenses at a higher premium. And so those are things we're going to be focusing on in this video.
All right, so I am packing, as you can see. I have stuff everywhere. Packing to go down to Atlanta for really a day and a half shoot. So I've been debating what lenses I'm going to take with me, and I thought this would be a perfect time for me to use the NiSi Aureus. I have the full set right now, so I'm going to be using these as my main lenses.
This is my third time around using the complete kit of the Aureus primes, which includes the 18, 24, 35, 50, and 85 millimeter lenses. Feel free to watch some of the other videos that I've made with the Aureus primes. I think it's worth your time. But since then, I've picked up the 24 and the 85 millimeters. The 24 has just been one of my all-time favorites with the GFX sensor. It's just a beautiful lens. It's wide enough, and I love wider lenses on bigger sensors. It's just a different look. Now, when it comes to character and the image quality of these lenses, as I stated before in my NiSi Athenas video, you have to give some respect on clean glass. The Aureus primes take what the NiSi's Athenas started and takes it to the next step in quality, and as a successor to the Athena primes, but you can still pair them together nicely. These lenses are uniformed in size and weight with a consistent T-stop of 1.4. There are no elements that extend towards the front or the rear of the lens. Now, this is where some of the low budget options for the Cine lenses struggle, in my opinion. It's when they advertise these faster T-stops, T1.0 or T1.4, all for like $500 to $600. When I see that price and that speed, I just think, ooh, something's been compromised for sure. And oftentimes it is true. It is fun having a very fast lens, but you notice immediately that it suffers. And I don't like when brands slap on the "it's vintage" to try to justify their lack of refinement in that lens. And so that's one thing I want to call out. When you purchase lower budget lenses, you are going to be purchasing compromises. And every lens has a compromise. Don't get me wrong, I totally understand that. But when you do move it up in price, the level of expectation is raised and the performance is raised. With lower budget lenses, I often see a lack of clarity. And when it's wide open, the fall off isn't as pleasing and the bokeh becomes really distracting. The Aureus are built to perform at T1.4. They have a lovely separation. They're detailed and clarity with the bokeh that doesn't strain the eyes, in my opinion. I was pleasantly surprised when I was testing the Aureus primes. I'm using my GFX 102 in the GF mode, which is actually wider than VistaVision, which VistaVision is the coverage of these lenses. So we get to see a little bit more past what these lenses are actually made for. So I'm just blasting a 600D with a f10 fixture straight into the camera, straight into the lens. In this test, you'll see at T1.4, there is a lot of blooming, a lot of layering glare as expected. You're wide open, which gives me a good idea how these lenses will react to large light sources. This is an extreme test, but I think it's an important one just to see how the flares react to a bright light source, a larger light source, as well as how do they look with the most common T-stops that I use when filming. And what I like most about the flares from the Aureus are the clusters or the constellation, that string of different elements that you can see as you're moving the camera back and forth with that hard light source. It's just really lovely in my opinion. But as you stop down, the blooming cleans up at T5.6. And for me, a good quality flare comes in various flavors. But one of the things that you want to note is how well the coatings prevent ghosting. This is a telltale to see the type of quality that you're dealing with the optics and the coating of a lens. And ghosting, in case you don't know, is essentially when you can see the light source, the shape or the outline of the light source in the image of what's being reproduced or reflected from that lens. If you can see that, to me, that's just a poor quality of coating. The only time that actually appeared in these lenses was the 85mm, and I was, you're way more zoomed in to that light source, and you start to see the grid from the Fresnel fixture. But other than that, you couldn't see any of that in all the other lenses, which is a plus for me. So in my opinion, the Aureus do pass the extreme test. Now, the Aureus primes aren't advertised as apochromatic, meaning they would kind to mitigate or minimize the amount of chromatic aberration, but they do a really good job of doing that anyway. Outside of that, I see that on these contrasting images, you don't really see any color fringing, no purple, no green. It's fairly neutral, which is very nice. And on the flip side, this is something you would have to be concerned of with lower budget lenses. They tend to don't treat chromatic aberration well. You either see a strong purple or strong green or both, depending on the situation at hand. Now, when it comes to build quality, these lenses are tanks. Even though the Aureus primes are smaller and lighter than their counterpart, the Aureus feels way more dense and compact. It has a lot of glass and metal in these lenses, and you can feel it.
As much as I do love the look of the NiSi Aureus, they are big lenses, and when you just need to travel for a day and get on that airplane and whatnot, a more compact lens is very nice to travel with. And so these are as hefty, but they're a lot smaller. That's one of the pros, I think, when you're deciding which to choose, is the size. The size is going to matter a lot.
The focus tolerance is dialed. It's the right amount of dampening when turning the focus ring and iris gears. One small feature that the Aureus are offering is that they have a rear filter element option. That's a hand screw, so you can just screw it off. Before with the NiSi Athenas, you would need a tool, but with these, you can just use your hand to easily screw off the back of the filter, and you can use a Pro Mist filter that NiSi offers, ND filters, and it doesn't interfere with any of the rear element, ND filters or mounts that you have. Now, the cons, I've been saying a lot of praises for these lenses. The one thing that is just really annoys me, and you probably heard this a lot with other filmmakers who've been using these lenses, is the front filter threads and the outer diameter. It's an 86. Now, I have nothing that's an 86, and getting into this, I was hoping it would be more of a standard. Granted, I feel like there's various standards, and every company says this is a standard and that's a standard. 86 is odd, and a 90mm front is even odder in my opinion, because all of my clamp-on matte boxes start as either 85 or 95. NiSi does include this ring adapter, but I think it only comes with the full kit. You have to buy it separately if you're buying it as individual lenses. I have my little pack here, and it did not have a ring in it, so that's my assumption that you had to buy it separately or with the full kit. But that's just one thing that I just knock on these lenses. Everything else I think is very solid, is very beautiful, but the one thing that I wish it would be more consistent, because I use the C5 matte box, and that itself is a 95 front clamp-on matte box, and it also has adapter rings. So either NiSi, could you actually bring out an adapter ring that goes with the C5 matte box that can adapt to the front of these lenses? that'd be great. If not, then I have to figure out, I mean, of course I just have to use the adapter, but it just doesn't feel as sturdy in my opinion. Now, something I haven't done on this channel before when it comes to talking about gear, in case you didn't know, I do run a rental house, really small one in northern Indiana. You can check out the website in the description below. But something I'm considering as I'm getting gear and acquiring gear and buying gear is the renting ability. How often do I have to rent it out to make back that money, this, that, and the other? So let's compare the two. Buying a set of Misc lenses, which is a 5 set, and then buying a set of the NiSi Aureus primes, which is double the price, which is going to be a better return for you and a better investment in the long run. So just quickly running some numbers on ShareGrid, just because Lens Rentals has a different type of setup where you can rent it for longer for a cheaper price. But on average, you would say, someone will go to a rental house or a ShareGrid to look up these lenses. So a 5 set NiSi Athenas on average goes for about $275 per day. Now, if you were to rent out the Aureus at that price to make back that $10,000, you would at least need to rent it out 36 times in a year. That's a lot. So maybe spread that over 2 years maybe to make that money back and to actually start making profit off of it. Whereas the Miscs go for about $85 per day. Now with the Miscs, you need to rent it out at least 50 times within a year or spread that out. And that is no good. That is more damaging than you think. So you think you might be buying a steal with $4,000, 5 lenses. In the renting market, name brands mean a lot. And so in my case, the NiSis are going to be more of a eye catcher, going to be more interest, more intrigue. The quality's there, the robustness is there. The Miscs are not going to be something that people are going to be asking for, or producers are going to be asking for, or DP's going to be asking for it. They're not going to be asking for those lenses. This is where the real difference, I think, when it comes to the buying the cheaper end stuff versus the higher end premium budget stuff, this is where it's going to make the difference in the long run if you're going to be using your gear to make back the money. So you have to think about what's going to be the better investment. So if you can hold off, if you're the person that's trying to move up, I would say hold off and try to get the more premium stuff. The Aureus are a fantastic lens. They're highly versatile. They can be clean at one point, and you can dirty them up even more, either with actual optics in front and behind the lens or in post. They're very versatile in that sense. They have this own look to it, and you just have to determine if you like that look or not. But everything else when it comes to these mirrorless budget cinema lenses, and I get it, you might want to get it because cinema lenses have this appeal and this aura to them, and I get it. I've been there, and I love cinema lenses. They have a very practical use case in a lot of things that I do in the work that I do. Yeah, now I'm just rambling, but that's what I think. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and catch you guys on the next one. See you.